Only love, only love. AOA podcast, and we're back for another episode. Oh my goodness, look at all the beautiful people in the live chat. So good to be here with you. It's another day. It's another Diddy lawsuit. A model files a lawsuit in court alleging assault against Diddy as his decline, the Diddy decline, that's what I like to call it, continues. And 50 Cent is laughing all the way to the bank over all of this because he just sold a Diddy documentary to Netflix for major bucks. Patrick Mahomes has broken his silence on Butker and everything that he said during the commencement speech. We'll share those sentiments with you. And I am fascinated, obsessed with this new idea of AI dating. The CEO of Bumble has said that the future of dating apps is AI dating, where basically AI is going to date for you. I can't believe I'm so old fashioned. I'm going to be able to sit my kids down and be like, back in my day, we actually date. We went on real dates with humans. It was crazy. We had to talk to each other, get to know each other. We had to pay for meals. It was a whole big thing. The whole thing was the whole scene. Go to bars, try and meet people. It was crazy. It was crazy. I feel like my kids are going to be like, bars with like germs and people and things. It's disgusting. And finally, Dave Matthews has broken my heart. That's going to be a really tough one. I don't know if we're going to get through that whole entire topic, but we'll do our best. It's another AOA podcast. Don't forget to hit that share button, spread the word. Of course, we've got the Facebook police on us as always, and we're unable to go live on Facebook tonight. So we shared our YouTube link over there, which always gets shadow banned. So if you can, throw us a share on Facebook, especially. We appreciate you guys being here and along for the ride. What makes me the happiest these days, I mean, aside from just seeing everybody, is people who don't get to catching alive, like Sharon Loves Pizza. Welcome. SIP, as I like to call her. I just made that up, but it works. Sharon Loves Pizza. SLP it would have been. Not SIP. I don't know what I'm thinking. I am thinking about the slice of pizza I have for after the episode today, and that's very, very exciting. Welcome in everybody else. Let's get right into P. Diddy and this new lawsuit that was just filed in court as Sean Combs' troubles continue. I'd love to get back to calling him Sean Combs. I feel like once you become just a massive pile of garbage who abuses women, we should drop the nickname a little, right? But I feel like if we don't say Diddy, nobody's going to really know who we're talking about. But I would love to get back to Sean Combs. That's just me. He was hit with another lawsuit today, this time from a model who claims he drugged her, then forced her to perform oral acts on him during a visit to his New York City studio 2 decades ago when she was 22 years old. Crystal McKinney is her name. She claims the rapper gave her alcohol and lots of alcohol and possibly laced marijuana during the 2003 encounter, brought her to a bathroom, forced her on her knees, and demanded she, quote unquote, suck it. This is in the lawsuit that was obtained by TMZ. McKinney alleged that when she refused to comply, he grabbed her head, forced her to do it anyway. She lost consciousness and woke up in a taxi to realize that she had been assaulted, although it remains unclear whether she meant there was an additional assault beyond the oral encounter. The suit is obviously the latest in a long line of Diddy issues, up to and including the Cassie video that was put out. He, of course, responded with his stupid video with his dumb face, and which we were able to turn into a meme, which kind of actually made me pretty happy. I like when we could turn that negative into a positive and meme out the asshole. You can see that meme on all our social channels, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Go to anthonyonair.com, click on any of our socials, and boom, you can see the little meme that we used with P. Diddy. Meanwhile, who's laughing at all of this all the way to the bank is 50 Cent, because he just unloaded his Diddy documentary, which he's had for quite some time. Remember, the timeline on all of this was the Cassie lawsuit. That was the beginning, late last year. On top of all the other things, remember there was the Halloween weird thing with him. I mean, there's a long list of stuff, the gun charge with J-Lo in the club and all that kind of stuff. So there's always been some issues there. Obviously, the Tupac shooting and the Biggie response and all that. But most recently, it was the Cassie lawsuit that was filed and then settled the next day. That was late last year. And then we got into this year with some other lawsuits, then the house raid, and then most recently, obviously, the hotel video, which was just devastatingly horrible. And Diddy's going to be the subject of this documentary by 50 Cent. He said that the piece has been purchased by Netflix after an apparent massive bidding war. Multiple networks and streaming services have been trying to land this series ever since 50 Cent started teasing the doc several months ago. 50 Cent routinely reveals, he has routinely spoken about his longtime rival and the disgraceful downfall that Diddy is on. He said in an Instagram post today, Netflix wins the bidding war, but if more victims keep coming out, I'm going to need more episodes. The series, produced by 50's G Unit Film and Television Studios, will reportedly focus on allegations of abuse by Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and a slew of other women. So remains to be seen if that's even a finished documentary, as 50 Cent is saying they could wind up rolling that out to more episodes. It's weird. I don't know. I get the feeling that the documentary as we know it is dead, and Netflix is killing it, meaning like you used to get a documentary, you get an hour 20, hour 15, hour 30, maybe hour 45 film. There was a middle ending and, start, middle, ending, and you watch the whole thing and you learn something, you got the full story on the piece. Now it seems like every story needs to be cut up into a miniseries. Like up until what was that one that we just watched, about the kidnapping and all that stuff? Remember American Nightmare? Was that it? Like you look at the American Nightmare story that was on Netflix, which was great, right? It was brilliantly done, but it was a 3-part series that realistically probably could have been cut into one movie, and again in $120, but I think the streaming services, in an effort to just kind of keep people going, they're going into this more serial sort of form. And I even read a piece that 3 45-minute episodes is like the sweet spot, which comes out to over 2 hours. But that's what they say, is that people love to digest things. An hour is a bit too much. So if they put it into 45 minutes, it can keep their interest. And then what do? Of course, obviously, they drop a bombshell on you in the last, minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And then next episode comes on. So you get to that point where you're like, oh, I gotta kind of stick around and see this. The Monopoly documentary, I think that was on Max back in the day, back when it was HBO Max. They implored a similar thing too. That was the whole story about the Monopoly game on McDonald's, French fries and their Big Mac and all that stuff, and the drinks. You remember, you peel the pieces. They did a whole piece on that, which was just like crazy fascinating, about all the scamming that went on behind that contest. And that was the same thing. You'd go through this whole thing, and then there would be this just big cliffhanger ending, and then you're like, oh, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep watching this shit. And I think there's something to our psyche in that too, where it's like, watching an hour and a half in a movie, not as exciting, but if we see it in little tidbits and now we're titillated, then we got to stick around, and then we keep going now, and then we got to tell. I feel like they've nailed it down to 3 45-minute episodes, but I bet you if they got that to 4 or 5 so that people had to continue it the next night, it would be more effective. Because what happens? You watch like 2 or 3 shows, 2 or 3 episodes, then you got to go to sleep, and then you get up the next morning and you go to work and you tell everybody at work, oh, I'm watching this thing, and it's crazy. I guess the same thing could happen if you watched all 3 and you were done, but there's something kind of exciting about being in the middle of it all, So that's my thought on 50 Cent in the documentary. It's interesting too. Cuddles and I are watching not Downtown Abbey, Bridgerton. Thank you. And we're watching Bridgerton, and they're taking a new approach where they dropped 4 episodes, and they're waiting like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or something like that. Yeah, almost a month, and then they're going to drop 4 more episodes. And I think that's kind of brilliant too, because again, those episodes an hour, but you get in there and you get through the first 4, and then you start buzzing, you start talking about it. What's going to happen next? Where do we go from here? And that's kind of everything. If you can get chatter going about your product, get more people involved and invested and interested, they're going to come aboard, and then they're going to start, you're going to get more people to sign up for your streaming service. That's basically the whole game right there. Speaking of games, Patrick Mahomes broke his silence on Harrison Butker, or as I like to call him, William M. Butlicker. Louder, son. You got to be louder. Our prices have never been lower, Butlicker. The NFL is obviously getting back together. They're, it's kind of crazy how early. I mean, I think August those camps really get going, but the Chiefs had a press avail today, and obviously people asked all of them about the Harrison Butker comments. I will say, I've never seen Patrick Mahomes on a dance floor, but judging the way he danced around this question, I would imagine he's a pretty talented mover and a shaker. They asked him obviously what he thought about his comments, and his response was, and I quote, "I've known him for 7 years. I judge him by the character he shows every day, and that's a good person." He went on to say, he's someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, wants to make a good impact in society. When you're in a locker room, you're around a lot of people in a lot of different areas of life, and they have a lot of different views on everything. We're not always going to agree. He said certain things that I don't agree with, but I understand the person that he is. He's trying to do whatever he can to lead people in the right direction. And that might not be the same values that I have, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character he shows every day. And that's a good person. Savvy PR gentleman, that Patrick Mahomes. That is quite an answer, because it's hard to argue with it, right? I mean, and that's like the case. Like, you think about your workplace, right? Where you work, sports teams, clubs that you might be in. You start to get 10, 12, 15 people involved. You're not all going to see eye to eye on everything. You're in a room with 20 people, odds are one of them is a huge piece of shit, right? They might be hiding it or whatever, but they probably have some bad attributes to them. And that's what this guy has. And what are you going to do? Like, if you're the quarterback, look, if they're going to let this guy go, that's a move that only the GM, the head coach, and the owner or ownership could make. And if Cuddle says they're not going to if they're not going to let him go, they're not going to let him go. He's not that good. Kickers are mental cases anyway. I know he's got a high percentage rate, but you find a kicker. I said this before. I'll say it again. Kickers are like drummers. They're nutcases. You can't rely on them. They come in and out of teams like crazy, and they don't have long shelf life. So aside from Adam Vinatieri, none of those guys last more than 3 or 4 years. I know Butker's had a little bit of a longer run there. But I think Cuddles is right, and they're not going to get rid of him, because even Andy Reid was full on joking around. He basically said sort of the same thing of like, we're not going to all agree, that kind of stuff. But he took it out on the press corps that was there earlier today. He said here, let me get exactly what he said here. He said, I don't think he was speaking ill to women. He has his opinions, and we all respect that. And then addressing the press corps, I let you guys in this room, and you have a lot of opinions that I don't like. And that got a little bit of a laugh in the room. Obviously, he's a head coach. He's going to be criticized on everything he does by the sports media. So kind of a fun little turn of phrase for him to do that. Again, I disagree. I think, and I don't want to rehash this out again, but just to back up prior statements, if you're a woman and you want to stay home and raise your kids and be a homemaker, there ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with encouraging people to do that either. If he got up there and he was like, ladies, don't be afraid to be a homemaker. Don't be afraid to be proud to be a homemaker, be proud to raise your children, be proud to, be a good wife. I would have no issue with that. None whatsoever. My problem has always been with what he said was, ladies, the diabolical lie you've been told, which to me sets it up an entirely different way. Like, I know you just paid all this money to graduate with a degree, but it's a lie that you've been told your ass belongs in the kitchen. It's like, no, they have a choice to make. They can choose to stay at home. They could choose to go out and have a career. It's up to them. It's not up to you to be like, hey, you've been lied to, and the degree you have and your future promotions are all bullshit. You should be at home in the kitchen raising the kids. I'm sorry if you can't see the wrongness in that. We just disagree. But I think that I have a hard time getting mad at a Patrick Mahomes or an Andy Reid when it's Butker who's the asshole. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's up to the coach, the GM, and the owner if they want to get rid of him. And I don't think that they are anytime soon. AI dating. This is fascinating as all hell. So the dude who runs Bumble, the CEO of Bumble, came out, did a whole interview piece, a whole big thing. I'm sorry, it's a female. I'm sorry. Whitney Wolfe Herd is the name. That's the founder of Bumble. And they were talking about how AI is taking over everything. Whitney starts saying that AI is going to come into online dating and dating apps. It's already there to a degree, with algorithms. I mean, algorithms are essentially a form of AI. So we've kind of been dealing with this all. But now they're talking about this algorithm and the AI taking another level, it almost becoming a dating concierge. She said, quote, there's a world where your dating concierge could date for you with other dating concierge, and then you don't have to talk to 600 people. So essentially, when you go on these apps and maybe you're swiping or maybe you're answering surveys and they're matching you together, whatever it is to bring on that initial connection, whatever method there is, doesn't matter. You're physically, mentally, you're in there actually doing that work. You're trying to meet that other person. You're looking at them. Are they attractive? Do they have similar interests as me? Okay, let's message them, or let's swipe. Oh, they swipe back. They message back. Okay, now let's have a conversation. Who are you? Where do you live? What do you do? What do you, all this kind of stuff. You're doing all of that. The way they're presenting this, it's like you're kind of wasting your time. You're kind of wasting your time when you can have AI do that for you. I guess whatever their methodology is going to be, again, answering questions, knowing your tendencies. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe you're just filling out, I like brunettes and I like, science majors and all this kind of stuff. You put it all in. And then the AI goes out there and is able to date the other people's AIs, see if you're a match, maybe start to have some of those initial conversations of okay, I know this person doesn't want to drive more than 45 minutes away. So that person's out. Maybe this person, doesn't want to be married to somebody who doesn't have a 9 to 5, and so this person's out. Or maybe this person doesn't want somebody who has a 9 to 5. They want to be able to do things in the middle of the day, work off, whatever it is, they work it all out. And then you get those matches and that's how it would go from there. On the one hand, I got to tell you, I'm like, sounds like terrible. It's very stupid. Dating is dating. You got to get in there and you got to see if there's chemistry. You got to see if it works for you, Hey Siri, who's tonight's girth master? I don't know if that's one of the prompts, Paul, but it might be.
You're Anthony, but you asked me to call you Anthony.
Oh, okay, all right. My Siri actually answered. You think I could train Siri to call me girth master? Yeah. That would be amazing. Answer this question. Hey Siri, can you refer to me as girth master from henceforth? Ignored me like most of the women in my life. Anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, so it feels like dating is one of those things that you kind of need to get in there and just do it on your own, you know? Oh, says I need to unlock my phone first. Okay. Unlock my phone. Unlock. Hey Siri, will you refer to me as girth master henceforth? No, nothing. It says from now.
I will not then.
Oh. Okay. I don't think I want it calling me. Oh, sorry. Zozo says I'm making everybody Siri do. Okay, sorry. I'll stop saying the S word. Back to what I was saying. I think you got to do all this stuff on your own. However, on the other hand, I am really fascinated with time saving. Cucked by Siri. Yeah. Just tell me about it. Just gonna start. Like Siri's gonna start calling Frank Girthmaster. That's when the cucking will really begin. I do love time saving measures. I have to tell you, I've been using AI a whole bunch. Just in several areas. We use AI for the podcast. The image that's on tonight's thumbnail was created by AI, the one to represent the AI dating portion of this episode. You know, I use it a lot. I use it for a lot of things. I've started asking AI questions instead of Googling, which, by the way, is why Google is really moving forward with their AI technology. You know, they're putting AI into search a hell of a lot more. I don't know if you've been on Facebook recently, but when you're on Facebook, and I think even Instagram too, when you go to where the search bar was, up at the top, it says ask Meta AI or search. You know, they've really all these sorry about that. All these companies are really incorporating AI and into all of their search. Somebody asked me the other day, we were talking about SEO practices, search engine optimization, for those of you who are unaware. You know, it's what companies do to, you know, show up higher in the Google search. And, you know, they were like, what do you think about this and this SEO and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, everything I'm reading says SEO is dead. You'll no longer, I mean, think about when you go to search something, you know, what's a good restaurant in Wisconsin in this particular area? And it'll give you an answer. But when you ask AI those questions, the answer is so much more fulfilling. You know, think about when you have an issue, like I deal with this a lot, tech issues and stuff like that. When you have an issue that's prominent, like let's say this is the problem with the iPad, everybody has this problem, but you're kind of having this problem, which is similar. So every time you search, you're getting this answer and not the real answer you find. So what happens? You find yourself gaming the Google, like, all right, what if I don't have this, but I do have, you know, you try and game the search to get the answer you're looking for. AI essentially is doing that work for you. It's saving you a bunch of time, you know? So why not present that sort of an idea into dating itself? I mean, it's kind of, you know, it kind of seems interesting. I remember when I was out there dating, when I was out there slaying chicks and laying pipe, making New York City my, it doesn't matter. She's not listening to me. What's interesting was there were times where I was like, I'm glad I'm dating. I'm glad that I don't have anybody. You know, there was a time, and I feel like everybody goes to this. There's a time in your life where you're like, I need to be by myself. I need to not worry about somebody else's feelings and thoughts and just concentrate on my own and what I want and what I need. And then the same way a hammer swings, it goes back, that pendulum goes back the other way. And you're like, this isn't enough of this. I've had enough of this. So if you're in that sort of mode where you're like, and I've experienced this a lot, friends of mine and this and that, they get up there in their 30s, you go from your 20s to your 30s, and all of a sudden you're 35, and people are kind of like, all right, I don't have time. I got to, it's time to find somebody quick. Maybe this AI dating thing can really jump in there and help with those endeavors, ChatGPT 4 is crazy, says Fly NY. Tell me about it. It is. What's insane is from the time that ChatGPT came out to now, I can't believe, even though we've been saying, oh, this technology is just going to double, triple, quadruple before you know it, even though we knew it was going to happen, to actually be here sitting through it and watching it happen is absurdly crazy. It's absurdly crazy. And I think that, good question from Robin, can AI count cards? The day it figures that out, it's just going to change everything. It is really just going to change everything. I will say, because we did talk about this, I'm happy to hear that it could actually do dating for you versus what we had discussed previously, which was acting like a person, kind of similar to She or Her, or whatever that movie with Joaquin Phoenix was. I never actually watched it. But that was the kind of thing, right, where he fell in love with his phone. He fell in love with the AI on his phone. We talked about AR, VR, and all this stuff, and AI coming into it. And imagine being able to put your little goggles on, your little gloves, and your little bodysuit, and you're just going on virtual dates with some fictitious being that you dream up. And now it can fulfill all your desires and wishes and for sexual fantasies, yeah, but not even that, just intellectual fantasies, I mean, the best part about being married, I feel like, is having a best friend, having somebody to talk to. Huh? Is that working? You know what I mean? Like, it's that connection. There's that person that's always there for you. To be able to create that in the virtual world, where now it's kind of having a mind of its own and knows what you want and anticipates it's a dangerous drug. That's a Pandora's box. We talked about that before. So I feel like I'd rather AI go in this direction with still trying to push real human connection, even though it is taking a lot of it away in the initial part of the process. I feel like that's a better way to go about it than the other way, which is creating its own little, stupid thing. So that's my thought on AI dating, but also it does seem a bit crazy. Like, if you're watching this podcast, I mean, we kind of know the numbers. You're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s. And there's going to come a time where you're going to talk to your kids, grandkids, grandkids, and you're going to talk about going on blind dates. Could you imagine? The idea of a blind date is foreign. I wonder if anybody actually goes on a blind date anymore. Do you think anybody goes on blind dates anymore? Because think about it. Back in the day, you would have a friend. You might not have a picture of them. And then you go, you would be perfect with my friend. And then she's a blonde, or he's this or that. People probably went on legit blind dates where they had no idea. Now you just, yeah, exactly. Exactly. People are looking on Facebook or Instagram, stalking people out. Odds are, if somebody's trying to set you up with somebody else, they have a picture of that person. It's so readily acceptable. I don't know if anybody's truly going on a blind date anymore. You just be sitting there, sound like a friggin' old person going, back in my day, we used to go on blind dates. The idea of, I don't know how it is for other people if you flock to your local city, but, growing up in New York City, we used to go into Manhattan. That was like the thing. Let's go to Manhattan. Let's go out. See if we can meet somebody. Where are you going? The bar. The club. Let's go to this bar. What was interesting about that, talking about algorithm and matches, you would go to a bar and you would say, I like this bar. And it reflects me as a person to a degree. Like for me, back in the day, every rooftop bar in New York City I went to, I just love the fucking rooftop bar. Rooftop bars in the city are the best. Drinking outside, to me, there's nothing better. Have a cocktail. Sometimes back then you couldn't really. Some places would let you have a cigar or something, smoke outside. But that's it. And you would say to yourself, "Oh, I like that girl is pretty. She's at an outdoor bar. Perhaps we have similar personalities." And that's how you hooked up. And now it's going to be some other kind of weird, I filled out a survey, or I let Siri scan my eyeball, and it read what my most compatible person would be. I mean, who knows? It could be a great thing. Think of the friends that you have. I feel like every friend group has that one couple that just fights all the time. And you look at them and you go, why are these people married? Like, marriage shouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean? Like, it should not be that difficult. But they fight constantly. Maybe AI will eliminate those kinds of relationships, Maybe it'll make better matches, easier marriages. I mean, no marriage is 100% easy. But compatibility, maybe it'll lead to a lower divorce rate. Who knows? Sharon loves pizza. 41 this year. I used Tinder once 6 years ago, and I'm still with the one guy I talked to there. It was like custom ordering the perfect partner. That's sweet. What's crazy though is I can remember a time when the dating apps was taboo. Like, you're not using a dating app, are you? Like, I feel like we used to poke fun. I could remember, I don't know what year it was, but I could remember the time when dating apps went from don't do that, that's for pathetic people, to you have to be on the dating apps if you want to meet people. Like, I remember that was during the time just prior to Cuddles, prior to us meeting. Well, we knew each other for a long time, but rekindling. It literally, like, I remember people making fun of other people for being on a dating app, and then all of a sudden, kind of everybody was on it, and then it was like, because that's what it was. It was everybody was on it, but don't talk about it. You can't talk about it, and then eventually it was okay to discuss. You forget there was this whole sort of time period with the dating apps. And I can remember several couples that I know that would be not ashamed, but they weren't proud to be like, oh, we met on a dating app. Because everybody felt like there was a time where we thought that's crazy. And now in the last 10, 15 years, that's all you hear about. Now, we just met in a bar is actually the crazy minority story. You don't hear that as often anymore, So it's kind of funny how it's been. But now you get to this point where you're looking at AI and you're like, Jesus, what is this going to be like? Cuddles and I, we talk about our kids and when they start dating and all that, that's at least 7 years away for one of them, 8, maybe hopefully 10. It might be unrecognizable by that point. When we talk and have those conversations, we never thought, boy, I hope our son's algorithm is good. I hope his dating concierge algorithm is up to snuff and working really well, And then when do you do that? Do you do that? Do you still, are kids going to still date in high school? Are they going to still meet the old fashioned way at the dance in high school? Yeah, because some of these high schools are 1,000 kids, 1,200, 15, 2,000 kids. Are they going to be using AI to find their compatible match in the high school even? God, I don't know. The possibilities are endless. I never thought it would be possible for Dave Matthews to break my heart. And not that he broke my heart necessarily, but I think this is here's how I would describe this. Your old pal Ant got his comeuppance. I talked a lot of shit about a particular person that I don't really care for. And then Dave Matthews came and slapped it right back in my face. It wasn't too many podcast episodes ago when I criticized one Jake Tapper for his shitty courtroom drawing of the Trump trial that day and just relentlessly beat him up on the podcast here for just being a shitty draw artist, for passing himself off as an artist, for even attempting to draw. I stand by it. I still see no need for that kind of shit. Leave it up to the real artists and shit like that. All right, Fly NY. Let's get an official warning on Fly NY. Who's Dave Matthews? Where are the chat room mods? Let's get a warning. We don't need to boot them. Well, let's get a Dave Matthews. Let's get a DMB warning. There you can call me a piece of shit all you want, but don't speak ill of David J. Matthews. Anyway, I was shitting on Jake Tapper, and I still feel like rightfully so. And then a couple days later, I pop open the Twittergram, and there's Dave Matthews wearing a shirt, and I'm like, oh, kind of a cool shirt. Dave Avengers, like a combination of Dave Matthews and Avengers. I'm like, it's kind of nerdy, but maybe my kid will like it. I'll get a little gateway drug into getting my kid to like Dave Matthews. Maybe that's the thing. And then I turn the volume on and start listening to Dave Matthews talk, and then he reveals that it is indeed Jake Tapper who drew the goddamn t-shirts.
Hello, Dave Matthews here. I'm here promoting a t-shirt that was designed by Jake Tapper, my friend, depicting the band in our alter egos as.
It's bad enough that he's wearing a shirt drawn by Jake Tapper. For him to go, my friend, it was like turning the knife in my heart. It was literally like the last time I was this disappointed was when I was 10 and my mom said, there is no Santa Claus. That was the last time I felt this level of betrayal. This level of, betrayal is not even the right word. It's just, I don't know. I was crushed. You didn't have to call him your friend. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't have to be that personal. You know, my friend who I go out to coffee with. It's just like, no, please no. In my fantasy of maybe Dave Matthews will be friends with me one day, now I feel like, although that probably would never happen, if it did happen, I wouldn't want him to be like, Aunt, is it cool if Jake Tapper comes? Because that would be, what am I going to say? No. You don't want to, it's like when you finally date the hot chick, you're just like, whatever you say, I'll do anything you want to stay in this relationship. That would be me with Dave. He'd be like, you want to go watch Jake Tapper draw somewhere? I'd be like, fuck, damn it. Why couldn't I befriend Dave Matthews when he was just worried about singing rather than promoting Jake Tapper art? I don't know what's worse, Jake Tapper art or fucking Hunter Biden art. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Hunter Biden art could be the only way this could have been worse. As if he was like, I bought this Hunter Biden shirt for $500,000 because that's how much his art is worth these days. Am I right, money launderers? Am I right? But yeah, this is my, and I got to tell you, I saw this yesterday. I've been shook. I've been shook. We're going to see Dave soon coming up. So excited about it. And now I'll just be thinking when he takes the stage, instead of me thinking this is great, I'm just going to let the music hit me and have a wonderful night. when he walks out on stage, I'm going to be thinking, is Jake Tapper backstage? Is Jake? Was he hanging out with Jake Tapper prior to this set? And God forbid he does like a song that's like kind of a deep cut. I'm going to be like, did Jake Tapper suggest that? Because I just can't. I think it's like finding out that your wife dated your college roommate and you only found out like 25 years into your marriage. I think that's the level of devastation we're talking about here. You know, you didn't date any of my friends, did you? Cuddles? What? You didn't date any of my friends, did you? No. I'm gonna have to interrogate everybody. Up to and including Jake Tapper. All right. Is everybody enjoying my pain and anguish? Mercury says, I can't. My stomach hurts. A lot of laughing emojis in the thing right now. A lot of laughing emojis. I'm just going to be like, God forbid he puts the word Jake in a song. I think I got to tap out. I just think I have to fucking tap out. I really, really do. Both Siri and Cuddles taking the fifth. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. All right. That's it for your old pal Ant. Appreciate you guys. As always, always wonderful to get together. Hang out. Spend some time doing the thing. Frankie C back on Friday. Fridays with Frankie C is what we're going to start calling it. And I think we'll get a blind top 5 or something, hopefully. I don't know. I would love a game show. I would love anything that could take my mind off of the man relationship that Dave Matthews has with fucking Jake Tapper. I was just like, oh, it's not a great shirt, but I'll support Dave by Jake Tapper, my friends. And it's like, oh no. Oh God, no. Oh. I guess, is this like when you see the pretty girl in the bar and you're like, oh my God, that might be my future wife. And then she walks over and kisses the asshole jock. I think that's what this feels like. And you're just like, fuck. Even if I could wind up dating her, do I want to after this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. When you see somebody and you're like, they're dating them. Is that really something that they're attracted to? That's working there? Because Dave never promotes shit like this. Like, never. And now all of a sudden it's, it's fucking Jake. And it's not even that good. I mean, look at it. It's not even that great. Fucking Jake Tapper ruining my life. I don't know what I ever did to that son of a bitch. Why can't he just stay at the anchor chair and not? As soon as he started drawing, next thing, boom, that's it. He's on Dave Matthews shirts. The whole thing went to shit. Let's give TD the last word. It's always great hanging with you all. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Show me potato salad.
See you Friday, everybody.
Maybe we should go now.
Go ahead.